article down to Word Perfect so he can read it. It was an article he was intending on using for his 30-minute speech, part of the writing assignment. 5 a.m. Jim and Claude arrive at the airport and are greeted by the Sanders pilot Chuck Bates. Bates was to take them to Chicago and New York. Then on Tuesday, Jim and Claude would charter a jet to take them to El Paso, then Austin, Washington, D.C., and perhaps back home for a while. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Betsy and Kyle are milking cows and making sure their calves are herded to the barn for warmth. Barn weather at Slamfield Ranch was sometime between mid-November and early to late March. 6:10 a.m. With Jim and Claude, Norma, and Greg on board, Chuck takes the plane away from the gate and more towards the runway. What Jim didn't know was that on the plane was a private chef that would serve them breakfast. Jim takes out his ThinkPad, where he saved an article about the Clinton Whitewater scandal, which was about to boil. Jim reads the article, waiting for the plane to take off. 6:25 a.m. The Sanders plane departs out of Midland International Airport for Chicago. Jim puts away his laptop and he and Claude begin their conversation with Greg and Norma Sanders. 7:30 a.m. J.R., Ken, and Christine have cinnamon rolls for breakfast that morning. It was cloudy and cold. Kyle was getting a team of 5 to 10 men to go to the cattle auction in our end. It would take at least 2 to 4 trucks to take some of the cattle to be auctioned off today. Gerald's plan after breakfast was playing contract rummy with Ken and then going swimming before having lunch. Ken would go home at 3 and Brad and Jim Bob would take JR back home. We would take JR back to Lubbock in Jim Bob's van. 9 a.m. The party arrives in Chicago, and Jim and Claude, Greg, and Norma hop into a 1993 Cadillac Fleetwood to go to the Hyatt Hotel near Northwestern University. 10:15 a.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, JR is in a morose mood again because once again he lost the contract rummy game against Ken. So he goes to his room. His Uncle Carl follows him in. "Oh, now, JR, don't be so down. It's just a game," Carl said. "My daddy will be disappointed in me," JR said. "Well, your daddy isn't here," Carl said. "And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told you when you was 15 years old. Go in your granddad's greatness, not your daddy's weakness." With that, JR races back downstairs to his best friend Ken. They decided that they would go sit in the downstairs living room and talk. 10:45 a.m. Darren and Ken decide to go swimming in the ranch's swimming pool. He figured that Kyle is going to be in Iran. For the cattle auction today. So he and Ken would have fun before he had to go home at 3. 12 p.m. at the Chicago gym in Chicago. Jim is addressing the Chicago Chamber of Commerce at a spaghetti luncheon where he talks about the importance of small business contributing to public affairs. 1 p.m. J.R. opens a file to get ready to brainstorm ideas for his ideology term paper. With that, we're going to go ahead and settle this episode of that's part 2 of the home stretch with some good root beer. And it's around breakfast time. I think some cinnamon rolls sound good. Y'all take care now, you hear?